Considering that the majority of the parts for the Melee came off of the Athos, this is actually a really good comparison. It's probably one of the only true Athos versus Melee comparisons with the exact same components. I've done in-depth videos on both of these bikes, so to keep it brief, the Athos was a full SRAM Red ETAP Axis build with Enve 4.5 ARs and a set of 28mm Pirelli Race TLR tires. Considering that all of the parts came from the Athos to the Melee is now a full SRAM Red ETAP Axis build with those same Enve 4.5 ARs, except I've put a set of Goodyear Eagle F1 tubeless tires in 30mm. Both bikes are a size 56. The Athos weighed 16.25 pounds. The Melee comes in at 17 pounds. I'm a simple bike guy, and I really like the look of both of these bikes. I love the Damascus gray color. I think it looks good on a computer screen. I think it looks even better in person. And I love that the branding is very simple and there aren't too many badges all over the bike. For the same reasons I like the Athos, I think the branding and styling is very subtle and simplistic. If I had to choose one here, I'd say that the Athos is my choice. I like the classic look. I like the round tubes. I just think it's a really good looking bike. One of the main reasons you're probably even considering an Athos is that you want a bike that climbs really well, and I feel like the Athos really delivers here. It's smooth, the power transfer is seamless, and it's one of those bikes that you feel like you could climb on all day long without getting tired, without getting fatigued. The Athos just delivers. They seem to have struck some kind of a magical balance between stiffness, weight, and responsiveness. The Melee also climbs well, but the Athos feels like it's very much in its element on climbs. The best way that I can describe the handling of these two bikes is that the Melee feels very raw and edgy, whereas the Athos feels very refined and well-mannered. They both corner and handle high speeds with ease, but I would say, if I could put it in car terms, that the Melee has a little bit of oversteer, and the Athos has a little bit of understeer. I've said before that the Athos is the best handling bike that I've ever ridden, and I stand by that statement. I think it's fantastic. The Melee accelerates to speed and holds speed better than the Athos. If you're hopping out of the saddle to sprint in a race or a county line sprint with your friends, the Melee stiffness is going to provide that responsiveness that you need on the flats and on undulating terrain. It's clear that Specialized and Enve prioritized comfort for the everyday athlete on both of these bikes. I would have no hesitation riding both of these bikes 100, 150, 200 miles. I think they would both perform flawlessly, and I don't think that you would feel that dramatic fatigue that you feel on a super high-end stiff race bike. When it comes to versatility, the fact that the Melee has a stated max tire clearance of 35mm means that you can fit a decent sized knobby tire on there, a little bit more than the Athos. And if you can fit a 35mm Gravel King SS or maybe a Gravel King SK, well, now you've got a tire that you can take on road group rides and peel off and head through a canyon and go smash some fire roads or go hit light gravel trails with your friends. The other thing about the Melee is the Melee feels like it can take a little bit more of a beating. You see, the Athos always felt really brittle to me. Maybe because it's ultra lightweight, maybe because those round tubes are so thin, but I was always worried about something happening to the Athos. Well, with the Melee, of course I'm gonna take care of it, but it just feels like it can take a little bit more of a beating, and it feels like it can handle a little bit more that I might end up throwing at it. Both of these frames come in at $5,500, and if there's an advantage, it goes to the Melee just slightly, because for $5,500, not only do you get frame, fork, seat post, and stem, but you also get bars of your choice. So bravo Enve for making that little touch point a value advantage for us consumers. The other intangible value of both of these bikes over, let's call it the broader spectrum of bikes, is that these bikes are somewhat rare. On a road group ride, it's rare that you run into somebody with an Athos, and the Melee is so new, it's rare that you run into somebody with a Melee. And I think there's a lot of value in that. I've always enjoyed having bikes that not everybody had, and it's one of my gripes with the SL7 is as I look at all my friends and everybody on a road group ride, everybody's got an SL7. So it's kind of cool to have an Athos or a Melee in the mix. If I had to pick one, it would be the Melee. The stiffness and the playfulness just kind of suits my riding style. I really like the handling and the mannerisms of the Athos, but at 180 pounds, to me, the Athos feels a little bit soft. I like the way the Melee accelerates and carries speed. It reminds me a lot of my old Venge. It's snappy, it's nimble, it's stiff, and it always keeps you on your toes, and it's a very lively and exciting ride. Don't get me wrong, the Athos is an exceptional bike, and I don't know if you can go wrong with either of these, but for me and my riding style, if I had to choose one, it would be the Melee. Soon, I'll be installing and testing 35mm Gravel King SS tires on the Melee to see how well it functions as a do-it-all bike. In future videos, I'll talk about 10,000 miles on the Tarmac SL7 and whether or not I still think that bike is relevant and can hang in 2022. Anyways, until next time,